I actually want to start off with a question for you guys, and it's a little bit of a confession on my part, but how many people ever see what people are disposing of and think, oh, what a waste? Because they have, lots of hands, right? I do that all the time. And it drives my husband crazy because I'm constantly like, they could have repaired that. They could have just painted that up. Somebody else could use that. I could have used that. And it does feel like it's a big waste, which is why I want to focus my talk today on reuse in general and the reuse center. When I think about reuse, what intrigues me is the history of it. And I often think back to the Great Depression. Are you guys familiar with the Great Depression? Yeah. I'm hearing some yeses, hearing some nos. Basically, what you guys need to know is the Great Depression was a complete economic collapse, and people didn't really have a lot of money, okay? But it's intriguing to me because their waste behaviors and their choices for reuse are very different from what we see today. And I see that from people who grew up through the Great Depression, but also from people that were just influenced by it. For example, I remember going to my grandma's house and seeing tin cans on the counter for storage. I remember seeing tea bags left out from weeks ago because she wants to use them over and over and over again before there's no more flavor left. The furniture was mismatched. There was no concept of materialism in her place. She fixed her clothing. She didn't throw it away. She utilized everything to its full potential. And she made darn sure that we ate every last scrap of food off our plate because, oh boy, we were in trouble if we didn't. And I hear this a lot from customers at the reuse center as well. They come in and they take a look at the items that we have out in our store area and they say, yeah, when I was young, I used to reuse a lot of this stuff. We had no choice. And I often think about that word choice because people from the Great Depression, they lived by this motto: use it up. Wear it out. Make it do or do without. And we don't really grasp that concept today. Fast forward a few generations, we have become a very wasteful society. And I want you to take a look at this picture and know that the two gentlemen in the picture were asked to go to a landfill in Edmonton and take 2 hours and collect reusable materials to create a scene. And this is what they created. Now, from what I just said about the Great Depression, does that seem like the type of behavior we would see from a society that was influenced from the Great Depression? No, it doesn't. Not to me. And so then I wonder again, what changed? Well, people started to make more money, and the economy revived itself, and we started to become more wasteful. Because people all of a sudden started to have a choice on what they were doing with their waste, and unfortunately, they chose not to reuse. How many of you guys have ever heard someone say this? Things are just not made the way they used to be. Yeah? I hear it all the time too. And unfortunately, it's true, okay? Manufacturers don't make things as good as they used to because they want us to buy new. And if we keep buying it, they're going to keep supplying it. And we are starting to lead such busy lives that we're starting to value our time and convenience over money. And this is creating more waste. And there's a problem with creating more waste, as our previous presenter alluded to. We run out of room. And in particular, Edmonton saw this problem. And they thought, we need to do something about this because we're running out of landfill space. And they went to neighboring communities and they said, can we put a landfill here? Can we put a landfill here? What do you think people said? Yes. No, they said, not in my backyard. Nobody wants a landfill near them. So they had to come up with a creative way to reduce people's waste, and they came up with recycling in the 1980s. And recycling is great, highly encouraged. We need recycling in our society because it does make us a less wasteful society. And it changed our way of thinking. We started to think about waste as a resource. Okay, and so now we're starting to see things like composting, and Edmonton is taking up the initiative of biofuels, so we are rethinking that. But I can't help but remind myself that we teach kids at a young age about the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. And we teach them that reduce and reuse are the first 2 R's because they're the most important. We want to reduce our waste, first of all. We want to make smarter decisions when we're actually purchasing products. So choosing product A over product B. If they're the same and this one has less packaging, let's choose that one. Okay, so reducing our waste. We do that as much as we can, and then on top of that, we want to reuse those items as much as we possibly can. If we can't reduce and reuse with those items, then we can recycle. So we do need recycling, but we shouldn't be quite so dependent on it. We need to focus more as a society on those words reduce and reuse. In the 1990s, a group of master composter volunteers were sitting around the kitchen table one night. So obviously these are people that are highly dedicated to people's waste habits. They're very passionate about that. And they were talking about how so many things end up in the garbage that have a potential use, maybe not for them, but for other people. So this is what they saw happening. All this stuff was ending up in the garbage, things such as yogurt containers, candles that weren't quite burnt all the way down, puzzles that were missing pieces, school supplies, office supplies. The list goes on and on and on. And what they wanted to do, next slide, is simply reverse it. They thought, why can't we do something like this? Why can't we get these items out into the community? Why is it all going to the landfill? And it was frustrating for them. So they came up with the idea of a garbage fair. I don't know about you guys, but the name garbage fair doesn't really appeal to me very much. So the name actually got changed to reuse fair. You'll know it now as a reuse fair. And we want to get away from this concept that these type of items are garbage, because something isn't garbage until you actually put it in the garbage. Okay, we're able to reuse these items. And essentially what these reuse fairs were a one-day community event where people could make a choice to reduce their waste at their house and collect those items in their households, take it to the event, and then people from the community who need these items will come and take it away for free. These reuse fairs were so successful over the years that the city of Edmonton saw a need to have a place where people could do this on a daily basis. So that led to the creation of the Reuse Centre. And the Reuse Centre opened in 2007 with 3 main goals in mind. Okay, so these are our building blocks. We want to educate people about the importance and benefits of reuse. So we have many different ways to do that. We're on social media, we have newsletters. People are coming into the store and seeing ideas all over the place on what they can do with their items or what they can do at home with items that we may not accept. Okay? So we're out there educating. We also hold programs at the Reuse Centre. You could have your birthday party there. You could bring a group in there to do a team building activity, and we're educating them that way as well. We also want to make things really affordable for people, which is why if you come into the Reuse Centre, you can get up to 50 kilograms worth of stuff for $5. So 110 pounds worth of items for $5. Really cheap. We're not there to make money. We're there to divert waste from landfill, which is our third but main goal. In order to know how much we're diverting from landfill, we weigh everything that comes into the facility and everything that goes out. So you see here, this is just a collage of some of the items that we take. And I bet you could probably pick one of the pictures on this collage and think, I have this at home. I could be either reusing this or donating it to a place where it can be reused, because we take in such a huge variety of things. So bread bag tags, egg cartons, bubble wrap, moving boxes, school supplies, office supplies, the list goes on. 250 items we take. And these are things that are unique to the Reuse Centre. There's nowhere else that people can donate these items to. Okay, we don't want to compete with other places that take in clothing, electronics, toys. We are there to take in the items. We're giving people that choice to donate to us rather than throw things in the garbage or the recycle. This concept has been so successful through the years. As you can see, our tonnage that we're getting in through the years has been increasing. And we've diverted over 1,300 tons of material from landfill. Just to give you an idea of the weight of over 1,300 tons of material, it's approximately the weight of 274 elephants. That'd be a lot of elephants sitting on my bed. the message here is that a lot of our items are light in weight. So I talked about things like bubble wrap and tissue paper, packing peanuts. That stuff doesn't weigh very much. So if you think about it in terms of the volume that we're diverting from landfill, it's enormous. So I want you guys to put your thinking caps on a little bit, because when people come into our store, they often take a look around and they think, oh, I don't know what I would do with this. This is stuff that I would just throw away in the garbage. And so we have idea cards there for them, but sometimes the concept of turning something old and potentially useless into something creative and new is a foreign concept to some people. So we want to inspire them. And I want you guys to try and think of what you might be able to do with a big old pile of corks. Does anybody have any ideas? Well, what about making a nice birdhouse? Yeah, really cool, right? And the thing is, if you were to make something like this and give it as a gift, that gift would be so much more meaningful because it came from you, right? You put some thought into it, and it's reducing your waste. I know I would appreciate that much more than a birdhouse that somebody just went to the store and bought. So there's so many different ways that you can incorporate reuse into your lives. Of course, this is a little bit focused on the reuse center somewhat, but I want you to think above and beyond the reuse center about what I've talked about and when it comes to your waste habits. Make smart decisions when you're out there shopping. We don't always need the newest and best things. We don't always need so much stuff. We have a lot to learn from people that were influenced from the Great Depression. I want you to think about, as an individual and as a community, what do you guys choose going forward with your waste habits?